Okay, we are live. We have the Savage Cub on the ground at Evans Head in Australia. We're just going to go and have a quick look at the flight plan, and you can see we're at Evans Head. We're going to fly up the coast, so this is the eastern coast of Australia, just below Brisbane. So we're at Evans Head. We're going to fly northeast to Ballina, then we're going to continue on north to visit Byron Bay, going to explore Byron Bay, and fly along the beaches of Byron Bay up to Hastings Point, Kingscliff Beach, up to the Gold Coast, and Burleigh Head National Park, all the way along through Southport, and go and explore this bit of land north. What's it called? North. Oh, the nav points runway North Stradbroke Island, and then head into Brisbane and explore Brisbane for a bit, and then finally land at Redcliffe, just north of Brisbane. So this should be fun. Okay, so let's go and get inside the airplane. We're on live weather. So I typically always fly with live weather unless it's absolutely horrendous. Okay, so get the controls ready. As ever, I'm not really ready to do this, so I'm going to use the control configuration that I usually use for the Cessna, I guess. So just have to find it. C172, there we go. Apply, go back, resume. So I will want to release the throttle movement, so let's just check the throttle movement is correct. Okay, that looks good. The mixture's not going to do anything in this aircraft by the look of it. Hot air entry engine choke. Yeah, it's just got a choke switch. Okay, go and have a look outside, make sure the control movements are good. So there's the ailerons. So ailerons are moving and free. Elevators are as expected, so is the rudder. And flaps work. Not expecting spoilers to work because I don't think it's got any. Okay, and let's just check. Okay, so yes, you can see there's the rudder pedals. Okay, let's go and get this thing started then, shall we? So I don't think some of these switches work. So strobe lights will work, landing lights will work. We'll turn the strobes on. There's the avionics master switch. And do we need to turn this to turn it on? Okay, what am I missing? Okay, that's looking better. Let's go and check the lights outside. Where are the strobe lights on the Savage Cub? I mean, we don't really need to worry because we're not going to be near anybody. But okay, let's have a look at the map of the airfield that we're at. So Evans Head. We've got a 2-knot wind, so it's nothing. So we're going to turn immediately left onto the runway, onto runway 36, and get on our way. So we'll come off the parking brake. Just coming out for runway 36 at Evans Head, and then we head north. So basically continue the runway direction along the coast. So you can see there the windsock, there's hardly any wind at all. Flaps to the first position. Hold the aircraft fairly straight. Whoa, just overreacted on the rudder there. And get some speed up, and we're airborne. Flaps up. So watching the airspeed, it's in kilometres an hour, so you have to be a little bit mindful of that. Cut it back to about 80%. And we're good to go, so I'm just going to trim the elevators out. So before we get going, let's go and do an orbit of the airfield we've just left. Okay, so this is Evans Head. We are just leaving. The Savage Cub isn't the fastest aeroplane in the world, so this is going to take us a little while to work our way up the coast, but that's fine. That means we get to do some sightseeing along the way. So this is the New World update for Flight Simulator that has Australia in it, and there's something like 3.5 terabytes of data that are now available. Obviously it streams over the internet as you fly along, but it gives incredibly high resolution, and you can see already in the patterns in the water and in the shallows. They've done some sort of upgrade around the modelling of water in coastal areas, where the water is very calm in the shallows, much more calm than it ever was before. So you get to see through it, and you can see the surface of the beach underneath the water. So if we work our way out over there, you can see the reflection. It's crazy. Okay, let's come back off the throttle. So we're leaving Evans Head behind. So there was the airfield at Evans Head. You see it's had some work with new tarmac. It's quite cool to see things like that on the airfields, to see them a bit more realistic than they have been in the past. And we're going to work our way up along the coast here. The sea really is like a mill pond today, isn't it? So if anybody watching the live stream wants to join me, I'm just going to make sure I'm on the server that I said I'm on, Southeast Asia, which is great. Resume. So yeah, you can see if you just look at the sand under the water, they've really done a number on this. And the trees are much more representative of the local trees. When we get up to Byron Bay, it's essentially got three-dimensional assets of the whole area. So it's very, very realistic. So let's just get this trimmed out and we'll have a look at the map. See how far we have to go along the bay here. So that was our route out of Evans Head, and we're just starting our way along. So we're going to come to, this is Broadwater Beach that we're flying along at the moment. Just to make this a bit more fun, should we go along the river? So let's head left and go and fly the river. So obviously this beach is quite predictable and pedestrian, I guess you could say. So we're going to go and find the river and fly the river, because it heads towards the same direction we're going, and it'll be a bit more fun. Okay, so the river we're heading towards, which we can just see out ahead of us, does it have a name? The Richmond River, which takes us eventually up to the same place we're going anyway, which is Ballina. So it appears to be a quarry of some kind over there. So this river will take us to Ballina. We can go and do a touch and go there, and then we'll head on up towards Byron Bay. To wave to the farmer. Should we go and dip the wheels in the water? Oh no! I forgot this plane isn't really powerful enough to do that. Okay, which direction are we going? Let's have a quick look. We're going the opposite direction than we need to go. That's interesting. Usually the aircraft will pull away from the surface of water. So let's go and try that again, just for a bit of fun. We'll get some speed on. Then it should not dig in. So if anybody wants to try this, it's good fun. So you should be able to make wake trails in the water with your wheels. I need to trim it out. Oh, we've got bumps in the water as well coming though, so let's just go for that again. So I'm going much faster this time. There you go. So yes, the key is speed. You need to go fast for it to work. The first time my wheels dug in. Not quite in enough for that time. Let's put one wheel in. Whoops. Okay, I'm going to stop tempting fate with it. And I'm not going to try and go over that bridge, seeing as the traffic isn't either. Are we going to see any more cars go into the river? Yep, there they go. They've still not fixed that then. Yep, it certainly was worth a try, Dav. I was just looking at the live chat comments. Let's try it again, shall we? So there's the shadow. There we go. It's a bit of a dangerous game to play because, like you saw, if you dip the wheels in too much, the plane just noses over. Especially the little Savage Cub because there's no weight to it. Right, let's get some height so we can actually see where we're going downriver. And see some of the farmland. And the farms whistling past. Should we have a look and see where we are on the map? So we're just coming in towards West Ballina. This is Empire Vale that we are passing at the moment. It's ever so slightly mad, isn't it, the level of detail? We're right up against the red line on our airspeed, so I'm going to cut the throttle back. Watch the airspeed drop back. Feed in some elevator. So obviously as that airspeed drops, the lift on the wing drops and the nose begins to fall. So I'm just gently feeding back in elevator as we go. So the entire route today is about 115 miles, something like that, 120 miles. Obviously we're going to go exploring along the way, which will make it a bit further. So if you just joined the stream and you're wondering where on earth we are, because you're expecting us to be on the Gold Coast, rather than go along this extremely long beach up towards Ballina, we've gone along the river just to make it a bit more interesting, and now we're going to go back out to the coast and take a look at the lighthouse. There's obviously a settlement here. So this is the beginnings of Ballina, I guess. West Ballina. So I should go and do this from outside. Pretty stunning, isn't it? They've done an amazing job. And this is just a tiny little village. Something I've discovered also while flying around Australia, although this town or this marina hasn't got boats, some of the marinas in the cities have actually got boats now. So it's the first time I've seen that they've tried it. And it makes a huge difference. Let's go back inside the aircraft. So is Ballina. We're just passing and leaving behind, and we're going to head further north now, along the beach. Starting to see some palm trees here and there. If you look carefully underneath the aircraft here, look. Okay, let's have a look and see where we are. So there's an airfield just to the left of us. I guess we could go and do a touch and go there, couldn't we? Just to show our face. So this is Ballina Head. So let's go and climb. Should see the airfield pretty quickly. Give the aircraft some power. Where is the airfield? It's hidden here in the trees somewhere. There it is. So we're going to just go and do a quick touch and go, and then we'll carry on our way. So the scenery should start to get a bit more interesting from here on, and we'll get into the higher and higher quality scenery. Okay, so we're going a bit quickly. So what we can do is side slip the aircraft. You can see the speed coming off, and then bring it back to center, and the speed comes back. So we're going to side slip most of the way until we can drop the flaps, which we have just done. And you can hear the flaps. I mean, this Savage Cub can come in so slowly, it's just crazy. But you can see these airfields have all been given quite a lot of attention to make sure trees and things, they're not just auto-gen. They are, or they're not AI even reading photographs, they've been placed by hand. You can just tell. Okay, let's correct for torque with the rudder, and we're off and running again. So gaining airspeed, flaps up, Have a look at the airport as we pass to see how well they've done it. Looks pretty good. Okay, it's not as, you know, it's not a custom airport, but it's good for free. All the buildings are in the right kinds of places. Okay, so now we're going to carry on further along the coast, so we'll cut across the forest here, back out towards the beach. So if we go and have a look on the map, we're flying straight over the top of Ballina. And we'll cut further right so we don't miss any of the coast scenery. Just thinking, I hope this plane's got enough fuel to get us to Brisbane. That would be quite ironic, wouldn't it, if we run out of fuel? Where is the fuel gauge on one of these? Oh, it's hidden underneath there. Great. Let's switch this on. Transponder. Not that we're using ATC, we've not got anything to transmit. Or, you know, we've not got any instructions to transmit anything. So I'm guessing the houses along the Gold Coast cost an absolute arm and a leg. Just a guess. You'll notice when we get to Brisbane that there's photogrammetry of the houses, so they all look exactly as they should. So here comes the beach. Should get a bit more altitude. Climbing very quickly. I've got lots of airspeed that I can convert into climb rate, so get some altitude now. Gently coming up towards 1,500 feet, which should be plenty. Then we at least get to see some into the distance a little way. Okay, so let's have a look on the map, see where we are. So this is the Broken Head Nature Reserve. Why is it the names are always directly underneath the route of where you want to be going? In fact, we can turn the route off, can't we? If we do that, there we go. This is the Broken Head Nature Reserve. And if we look closely, you'll start to see we're starting to get the higher quality scenery. So it's going to descend back to about 1500. Yep, Ian McPherson has commented in the live chat that the AI cars are still hilarious. Yeah, they always will be. Okay, so this headland we're just coming up to is Cape Byron. So we're coming down towards Byron Bay. So should we descend down a little bit? So things are going to start to get interesting now. So the town we're just passing is Suffolk Park. Yeah, I've not gone and looked at Tasmania yet. It's obviously it's been overhauled just like Australia has. I saw there was lots of points of interest to go visit there now. I can never quite get over the resolution of this thing. It's just amazing, and the reflections, look, in the instruments, it's fantastic. Okay, back to about 700 feet. Slowly making our way towards the headland at Byron Bay, Cape Byron. The Cape Byron Lighthouse, the most easterly point of the Australian mainland, apparently. It's just crazy amounts of detail, isn't it? Let's drop down a little bit and lose some speed and have a little look at this as we go past. circle it once just to have a look. Yeah, Ian McPherson's commenting. He says he spent 2 hours flying in Tasmania inspecting the topography. Exceptional topography. Yeah, it is fantastic. Somebody I know earlier was complaining about the lack of big airports, but this is a free update, and you know, lots of other companies are spending, or even individuals or teams of people are spending tens of hours on or hundreds of hours on the big airports, making sure everything's right, and they just can't afford to do that on a free update. Oh, we have a fellow flyer with us. Excellent. This is Byron Bay then. So we've got some photogrammetry down here by the look of it, or some custom 3D buildings. So we're going to continue on along the beach. Belongill Beach, North Belongill Beach we're just approaching, and there's a grass strip at Tiagara Airport. We'll go and see if we can land there. There's Julian Rocks out to the... Are they out there? Oh, yep, there's Julian Rocks. I mean, just look at the clouds in the sky and the mountains in the distance. This is just getting ridiculous, isn't it? Look in the beach. It's like flying over real movie footage. And yet this is a living, breathing world inside the simulator. Stunning, really. Absolutely stunning. Some nice formation flying skills going on there. Okay, let's turn our plane gently to the right. If we scoot to the other side, we won't see our friends. There they are, just over. Very cool. Squeeze our face up against the glass to see if we can see over the edge of the aeroplane. Yeah, Ian is saying he can only imagine what the simulator is going to be like in another few years. Yeah, it's only going to get better. Higher resolution, higher fidelity of the simulation. More accurate experience of the instruments and the insides of the aircraft. It's just going to get ridiculous. Of course, the hardware required to run it is going to increase as well, though. That's the only downer, I guess. Okay, so this next headland we're just coming up to, and village, is Brunswick Heads Main Beach. Brunswick Heads Nature Reserve. So we'll get a look at that as we go past. Let's just have a look further out and see how far we are away. So from where we started, we're about halfway up to the Gold Coast now. And then once we get to the Gold Coast, we go across country to get to Brisbane. So the same we're just passing here. New Brighton, Ocean Shores. Just coming up to South Golden Beach and then New Brighton Beach. It's interesting, isn't it? Although it's one big long beach, the different stretches of the beach have got different names. Just for a bit of fun, should we go and fly along the beach at low level? The wind must be getting up because the water conditions suddenly changed, didn't it? Okay, so the next town we are approaching is Pottsville Beach in Pottsville. And then Hastings Point Lookout is coming up at the end. So that's the bit just on the end of the... So Fernando is asking in the live chat, do you have to buy sceneries in airports? This is free scenery that comes with Flight Simulator. So they've just updated it. It covers the entire planet basically to pretty much this level now. They're going around each country in turn though, adding special scenery here and there. And if you hang on the live stream until we get to Brisbane, you'll see what I'm talking about. But this is free. So it's a mixture of it loading 3D assets that are cached to your local computer, and the vast majority of it gets streamed from the internet. But it's just ridiculous, isn't it? So the whole planet is done to this level basically. I mean, and the weather is generated. This is live weather, so this is the weather that is going on at the moment. There's somebody flying along with us. So multiplayer is done for free in Flight Simulator as well. You don't need any add-ons for the weather or the multiplayer or the scenery. You can just go mad exploring the world basically and look at the detail. It's mad. And if you look closely here and there, you will see cars driving around. So the way this is done, they fly over and use the aerial photography, and they've used artificial intelligence to analyse the photographs and to place the appropriately shaped buildings where they should be, and coloured them according to the overflight data. So then artificial intelligence comes along and puts all the street lights in place, and the lights in the houses and things like that. So if you've not seen Flight Simulator before, if we go and modify the time, for example, and we go for early this morning, as soon as you get dark enough, there's the lights look of all the houses. So when you look back along the coast, you can see the houses all lit up. It's more marked in a city, but again, look, the colouring of the sky and the clouds, it's absolutely ridiculous. So we can spin the sun through the day and get that kind of late evening light with the sun in the clouds, look, and then as the sun goes down over there, it's absolutely crazy. So let's go back to real time. So this is what it looks like right now. Okay, so you can see a disused airstrip down here. We're just flying over it at Hastings Point. Next up is Lions Park. We're about to fly over, which is here. And this town must be Lions. No, it's not Lions Park, is it? Oh, it is. And there's a skate park apparently just to our left right now. Somewhere down there. There it is. And again, this is one of the free aircraft that comes with the simulator, if you were wondering. And just look at the quality of it. It's absolutely mad. So I'm just moving the camera with the mouse. You see the waves lapping against the shore. And you can see under the water as well. Okay, let's get a look at where we're going. So we're just coming up to King's Cliff, and then we start to get closer to Gold Coast Airport, and then we fly towards Brisbane. So we're just working our way along the coast at the moment, admiring the scenery along the way. Let's go back inside the aeroplane, get the more authentic experience of actually being a pilot. So all the instruments work if you've not seen flight sim before. So you've got vertical speed, altimeter, airspeed, tachometer, or engine revs, oil pressure or temperature, cylinder head temperature. This is a transponder to if you were communicating with air traffic control, this is transmitting an identity number that they give you. We've got a normal kind of binnacle compass. We've got the comm radios over here, which obviously we're not using because we're not using air traffic control. These are the rudder pedals, so we can push them, and of course you see all the linkages happen. If we waggle the stick around, the interesting thing with this aircraft is if you waggle the stick around, you can see things moving. So you can see the ailerons, and you can see the linkages. Elevators are a bit more difficult to see because it goes underneath the tail. But yeah, this is quite a nice aeroplane because it is so mechanical. It actually feels like you're really flying. So let's have a look at the map and see where we are. Just passing over King's Cliff. So we'll look from outside. So we're going absolutely flat out in this aeroplane at the moment, 200 kilometers an hour nearly. It's not the fastest aeroplane in the world, but it's good fun to fly. I'm just trimming out elevators because I've just cut the throttle a little bit. Yeah, if you've not seen Flight Simulator before, you can also configure the weather. You don't have to have live weather, but I think it's quite cool that you can have the weather looking exactly as it is in an area of the world. So this is a fairly big place we're approaching. So this is Benora Point. We're just about to pass over the Dreamtime beach apparently, which looks like a very manicured beach to me. There's probably lots of money involved. So we're heading our way down. We'll go down this river and then go past the buildings at the end. So this is Fingal Head we're just passing. There's a golf course here. I don't know if there's anybody playing golf. There's a high-rise building over here. Probably luxury apartments, I imagine. So we're probably going to get our first look at some photogrammetry here. So I'm going to slow right down. So if you've not seen this, photogrammetry works by aircraft overfly the area in an isometric pattern, and then the photographs they take of the area are combined inside a computer, because the photographs are coded with the longitude, latitude, the direction the camera is pointing, and obviously the lens settings of the camera are a known quantity. Therefore a computer can piece it all back together and create the three-dimensional scene from 3 or 4 different angles and recreate the buildings. It's not always perfect, but it's a pretty good approximation usually. So you can see these are the real buildings based on the photogrammetry technology. So sometimes they look a bit muddy and a bit wobbly, but you at least get extremely accurate shapes. Like the roof of this building, for example. It's got it perfect. And you know, these hotels near the seafront are obviously, and this one, it's a pretty stunning job really to consider that this is not a 3D object that's been handmade. This is the result of photogrammetry. Yeah, it gets it wrong here and there, you know, it's got some of the angles a little bit wrong. But it's still pretty good, and it makes it look that bit more real. There's, like, you're seeing some rocks down here. That's obviously part of the photogrammetry as well. And they're extending under the water, and there's water breaking on them. It's very, very clever. Okay, let's get some speed back on. There's an airfield over here. Should we go and have a look at it? So this is the Gold Coast Airfield. So we're just going to go and pass over the top of these houses. I'm going to be nosy and have a look at the airfield. The cars in the parking lot. That's a lot of cars. Just look at the detail. That's even more cars. They like the brightly coloured cars out here, don't they? Not many aeroplanes on the tarmac today. So you can see Brisbane out across the bay. We're getting closer. Should we just do a very quick bounce? I'll do. Someone just commented that that's Surfer's Paradise that I was pointing out, and yes, they're right. Brisbane is much further along, so let's see where we get to. No, I think actually no, those buildings there are the centre of Brisbane. They will get much more detailed as we get closer. Surfer's Paradise is just along the coast here, so that'll be this collection of buildings that are closer by. But the ones in the distance... Oh, maybe you're right, yeah, I think you're right actually, yes. It's difficult to tell sometimes in the simulator when you're looking at distant objects to see how far away they are. So yeah, these are a lot closer than I thought. I can hear an engine. I can hear an engine somewhere nearby. It's over there somewhere. I'm hearing it in stereo. That engine noise coming from? Okay, so we're going to see photogrammetry come to the fore with Surfer's Paradise, obviously, because famous location, and they've poured some resources into making it or recreating it accurately. Okay, so Ian McPherson's mentioned about the helipads in the new airfields. They are looking like they've had some treatment, so helicopters are coming, aren't they? They're in the development list. Okay, so we're just flying along Burleigh Beach, Burleigh Waters and Miami Beach, just coming along here. I think we need to descend before we get to Surfer's Paradise. Have you noticed you can see a slight problem here with a tile in the scenery? Yeah, they usually correct themselves, but it's interesting to see how it's kind of self-healing the closer you get to things. So I wonder what this building is here on top of the... must be a private dwelling. It's not marked on the map. The harbour and the inlets where the houses are kind of interesting, aren't they? So is there a gate? I'm guessing that's a gated waterway, because I'm guessing that Australia experiences tides just like the rest of the world. Because that would wreak havoc around here, wouldn't it? Unless the tides aren't very big, of course. So the Broad Beach Bowling Club. Is that this one here by any chance? Let's get the flaps down and go slowly. Is that a bowling club? Is that the place you mean? Hopefully it is. There's a lot of cars parked outside of it. They really have done a number on the scenery, haven't they? This is just ridiculously good. I mean, okay, it's having some 3D issues with the knitting together of the bits here and there, but for a first go at it, it's pretty stunning. Yeah, sometimes the textures are a little bit wrong on the photogrammetry buildings, which is why in the city you'll see some of the key buildings are 3D structures like this one that's just coming. It's obviously a custom three-dimensional structure. Let's go and climb up and have a look around it. Yeah, do you notice how clean its lines are? And you can actually see the offices inside it. So you can see through the glass. Should we go and follow some of the cars? Somebody just run past me. if we go inside, you get the authentic pilot experience. Australia Fair. There's a pier down there. Okay, let's get a little bit more height now. We're coming away from Surfers Paradise. And we have some company. Looks like a caravan, if I'm not mistaken. Now there's an interesting building. That must be something. So where's the caravan gone? I'm not going to worry about the caravan. G Flat is asking, am I going up to Brisbane? Yes, I am. We're going to end at Brisbane, but I'm going to circle the city and go and have a good look around it. So I'm just going to get the aircraft trimmed out, and then we can have a look at the map and see where we are. So we're just coming up the edge of the water here towards Coomera and Coombaba. I don't know how you put the stresses on the words, I have no idea. So we're going to pretty much straight line it into the centre of Brisbane now. So if we go and look on the map and measure, we want to go about 300 degrees, 310 degrees-ish. So we can see our little compass down here. So we're going to turn left. This is reversed on a binnacle compass, which makes no sense to me either. It's just that's the way it is on most aircraft. That's about 310. So we're heading straight towards Brisbane now. So strap in for the long haul across the lowlands here. Hopefully we'll start to see some of the tall buildings in a few moments. We could cheat and use slew, but then we don't get to admire the scenery along the way. So to our right here, we're just leaving behind Southport. Have a look at it. How do you pronounce that? Moondarewa and Runaway Bay, Holywell, Coombaba. Let's go and put the camera back outside. We can see more from outside, can't we? So the community we're about to fly over is Hope Island and the Pines Golf Course and Santa Barbara. So there comes the island, and you can see the golf course in the distance just coming. If you zoom in a little bit, you can see things a bit better. It's a beautiful day on the coast in Australia today. The weather couldn't have been better for us, really. Got fluffy clouds in the sky, a nice clear line of sight ahead of us. So you're starting to see there's photogrammetry again on the buildings, which is really cool. It seems to be quite well done here and there. I think I've looked at both Sydney and Brisbane and Melbourne. Melbourne is the best I've seen so far. I haven't seen Brisbane yet up close, so we're about to find out. Yeah, they haven't put the boats in the harbours here. In some of the city harbours they have put the boats in, and they're really cool. Just going to keep an eye on the map, because I'm not controlling the aircraft, it's just blowing along on its own. So we're going generally the right direction. Hopefully soon we'll see the tall buildings in the distance. Yeah, you can see, look, a difference here. Look at this scenery here. So this is photogrammetry. And then this area hasn't been done, look. They've missed a bit. So we found a missing patch in the scenery. How funny. Because look, all around it has been done. And that bit hasn't. How interesting. So this is the switch over now. Look to AI created buildings. So there are buildings, but they kind of look like prefab sheds. So we're heading over Pimpama at the moment. So I wonder what this is. This is a bowling green? I'm just trying to make out why the grass would be cut in that pattern. Maybe that is a bowling green. Who knew that lawn green bowling was so popular in Australia? USA PR1. Good day, Jay. I'm following with the Kodiak. Aha! There's a Kodiak behind us somewhere. He's somewhere in the airspace around us. Can't see him at the moment. I can hear him now and again. Maybe he's below us. Go to a fisheye lens. I can hear him. Why can't I see him? Anyway, I'm going to make everybody sick if I keep looking around. Yeah, there's another whole batch of houses look that the AI has missed here. That's interesting. I've never seen this many missed houses before. That's a shame. That weather over Brisbane, it looks like it's a bit cloudier than it is here. We've got wonderful clear skies over us at the moment, but looking out over there, not quite so friendly, is it? I can hear that Kodiak. So what I thought was a caravan maybe approaching was obviously the Kodiak. We could follow the highway, couldn't we? Or freeway, whatever you want to call it. The M1. Follow the M1 into Brisbane. So G flat is saying, as your English, bowling greens over here are crown greens. Here they're flat. Yeah, you do get crown green bowling in the UK as well. It's just not as popular because it takes up more space, I guess. And you get a lot of bowling clubs in the UK have built indoor greens as well, so they can use it all year round instead of just during the summer months, or spring and summer. It's interesting, isn't it? I think Asobo licensed the data for Australia from Orbex, and Orbex haven't done as good a job at tidying the roads and stuff up. There are car marks all over the roads, whereas the original data that Orbex worked with other cities and large areas, they tidied that up and used AI to put the roads in properly, and Orbex haven't done that. Okay, so how far are we from the middle of Brisbane? Let's do a measure distance on the map. 314, 20 miles out. So we've got 20 miles to go. Not too far, to be honest. Going to check what our altitude is. So we've evened out at just over 2,000 feet, which is fine. We can descend down when we get closer. So the area we're just passing over that has the big roundabout is... Oh, there's a pie shop directly below us. That's made me hungry now. Beanley is this small area. And we're going to go over the Logan River Parklands. I've just run out of fuel. I'm just going to go and do a magic in-air refueling of the aircraft. There we go. That was unexpected. That's one way of losing some altitude, isn't it? Run out of fuel and fall towards the ground. What does that say about me? That the moment the fuel went, I was looking at that road thinking, can I land on it? And looking for sports fields. Okay. So you can now see the centre of Brisbane out there in the distance. So we have something to aim for. Okay, I vaguely know somebody from Brisbane, but I haven't spoken to this for several years. I ought to try and reach out and get back in touch with them. A really good friend. Look at all the solar panels on the houses. Oh my word. Guess it makes sense because they get like 40 centigrade, don't they? In the summer. It's like unbearably hot. Then you may as well make electricity out of it. I wonder if they can sell it back to the grid in Australia. That happened in the UK years ago. People were given grants by the government to help out, obviously, with energy supply, to put solar panels on their houses, and then they could sell it back to the grid. So if you made a net gain in terms of the electricity you were generating versus using in your house, you could sell it back to the national grid, so you effectively didn't pay for any energy at all. But the trouble was, so many people did it that the national grid, actually they had to change the rules and say, well, you can't do that at anything like the rate you used to anymore, because, you know, they couldn't afford it, because people were overproducing. They didn't need all the energy that was being generated. Okay, let's get a little bit more height. We're starting to get turbulence from the hills. I guess the question is, let's have a look at the road. Can we follow the M1 all the way into the middle of Brisbane? Pretty much can, can't we? Aha! Okay, so I'm seeing that aircraft. As a caravan, presumably because I don't have the livery, so it's not substituted it with the Kodiak. So we're just going to follow the main road then all the way into the centre of Brisbane. Hear the plane again, because I can't see it at the moment. It'll be somewhere nearby. So G-Flat is saying, I live in Melbourne, but Brisbane is a great city and I know it well. To think that years ago we used to laugh at Brisbane and call it a big county town. Oh, a big country town. Who's laughing now? Yeah, I've never been to Australia, so this is wonderful for me to get to have a look around, and I doubt certainly until my children are grown up, we wouldn't be able to afford to go. Because you're looking at well over $1,000 for the tickets, and then you've got to pay for board obviously when you're there. The girl I used to live across the road from when I grew up she emigrated to Australia. She met a guy from Australia who was living in the UK. So yeah, I still get to see her photos of life in Australia on Facebook now and again. I've got a really good friend in Melbourne as well, so she told me quite a lot about Melbourne. And of course there's always TV shows with like recently in the UK there's been a series by Griff Rhys-Jones following trains across Australia, and it's been really, really good. I think a few years ago there was some required there's the other airplane. A few years ago there were some required occupations that were getting favourable rates for emigrating into Australia. For things like, you know, plumbers, tradesmen basically, and the reason for it I think was lots of young people had left Australia to go and find their way overseas, so there were various trades that had shortfalls, so they were trying to attract people to move over and, you know, to take up those trades in Australia. I don't know if that is still the case or if the shortfall has been met now. Slowly getting there. Flying over all the neighbourhoods. See all the cars on the roads. The suburbs of Brisbane are huge, aren't they? Okay, so what's that over there? Obviously hasn't been modelled, whatever it is. Should we have a look on the map? Is it some sort of big shopping mall complex? Well, they're saying that over the other side of the road it has been modelled. Have a look, find out what that is. Westfield Garden City. Interesting. To fly over a park. That'll be the Mount Gravatt Showgrounds, and the Mount Gravatt Showgrounds at the other side of the road. Okay, so that's Mount Gravatt Showgrounds. I guess that's for the cattle and sheep and stuff, is it? For selling them. Or for horses maybe, who knows. How on earth do they do this? To have this much data being thrown around at 30 frames a second, and I'm watching this in 4K, you're seeing it downrated to 1080p. I'm seeing this in 4K, so I'm seeing this at 4 times the resolution you're seeing it. And it's smoothly at 30 frames a second without missing a beat. and the best is yet to come. Let's go back inside the aircraft. The shadows underneath the clouds. Oh, there's a big jet out there. It's probably just come out of Brisbane. Looks like he's on his way off across the ocean. Either that or he's on a very, very long and circular standard approach route. Okay, this is where it gets fun. So, what is the sport ground that we can see? The Gabba, I guess. Is that what his nickname is? So just down here, it's the Gabba, isn't it? The famous. I'll try and slow down. Yeah, G flat, you're right. I did the video on VORs, radio navigation. I'm going to start doing some more kind of ground school videos soon, just to teach people who are just starting out how aeroplanes work, that kind of stuff, and you know how flying should really work. So that's the Gabba, apparently. The cricket pitch at Brisbane. See it from outside. Can we see it any better? It's pretty better from inside, isn't it? A building construction project going on here. They built it inside of some tower blocks. About to expand on them, I guess. So I guess the best way to do this is to fly past this bridge first. You can see the original photograph underneath. They haven't tidied it up. It's a shame. I think they'd have gone the extra mile there, wouldn't you? Photogrammetry is pretty good though. It'd be quite cool. The skyscrapers or tall buildings usually look quite good in low light or long shadows. So, late afternoon. I think it's pretty good though, with the live weather, to be honest. Let's go and push that on a bit further. Yeah. Let's go back to real time. That's a very cool building. And that one. Wonder what they are. There's a lot of turbulence down here. This is dangerous. This is extremely dangerous. I'm being thrown around. And I don't dare try this. Oh my word. Nearly ran out of room then, didn't I? Okay, I think that's enough excitement. So G-Flat is saying, what is now Brisbane was originally the Moreton Bay penal colony, renowned for cruelty. British eventually shut it down and it became Brisbane. That's interesting. I was watching a documentary recently, the one I mentioned about Griff Rhys-Jones travelling across Australia. I didn't realise that Canberra was built because Sydney and Melbourne couldn't decide between themselves which one was going to become the capital. So they just built a new city. It's quite an interesting story. Okay, so let's figure out where we are and how we get to the airfield that we're going to land at. We're going to go north up to Redcliffe. So So let's have a look outside. Oh, sim just paused. So we'll say goodbye to Brisbane, or to the city centre at least. I'll fly up to the north and land on the smaller airfield. We're not going to go into Brisbane International. We'll have a look at it as we go by. You can see there's a plane coming in on approach over there. You can see his nav lights twinkling away. So if we get some speed on and feed in a bit of elevator trim, we'll gain some height. Then we might be able to see the international airport. Just over there, just out of our view by the look of it. So I've gained a little bit of altitude. Be able to see it. Yeah, it's that big flat area. You can't really see much of it. Obviously, the terminals are in the trees. From here at least, so you can't see it very easily. Okay. If you zoom right in, you can kind of see some of it that's rendering, but not much. Okay, so to get to Redcliffe we're going to fly over the top of Sandgate, sorry, then Brighton, Clontarf, Wood Point, Kippering, and come in and land at Redcliffe and call it a night. So this is the first of my kind of exploratory flights in the new Australia scenery. I will be flying again soon. I imagine we can go look at Melbourne and Sydney as well. hard to figure out a flight plan that takes in several different airfields to, you know, to last an hour or so flying around. We could do an international flight as well with, you know, one of the big jets and fly, say, Adelaide across to Melbourne or something like that, and follow the standard instrument departures and standard approach routes. You know, do something by the book, and then you see the big airports on approach, which is always quite fascinating. So yeah, if you've enjoyed watching this today, click like and subscribe, and if you click the bell icon at the top corner of YouTube, you'll get notified when I'm online or when I'm releasing a new video. As I said, I'm going to be doing some ground school videos for people that are new to flying, just having a look around airplanes, describing how they work and demonstrating things. So that should be quite interesting. Other than that, I'm open to suggestions for flights. Earlier this evening I did a group flight with some friends flying the big jets, and we did the expressway approach into LaGuardia in New York, and that was fun. It's a visual approach where you skim over the buildings on approach. It's a real thing, it wasn't made up. It really does test your flying skills. Okay, so I'm guessing that's a horse racing circuit down there. Well, it looks like we got away with it with the weather, really, doesn't it? The cloud base stayed quite high. We're almost up to the cloud base now, look. And we're just approaching Redcliffe, where we will end the fun and games for this evening. About to fly over the top of Brighton. So this area over here is Brighton, and they seem to have a bridge over the water, the Ted Smout Memorial Bridge. So we should get visual on the destination airfield very soon. Just having a look at the scenery. It's in line with the water over here, so it's over there. Which way do we need to come in? Okay, so we need to be turning towards the headland for the wind. So we'll overfly the bridge, fly out towards Scarborough Beach, and come back into Redcliffe. And we'll start descending. So I'll just cut the throttle gently. Fascinating piece of scenery. What's that all about then? It's just a jetty by the look of it. I'll do the rest of this flight from inside now. Fly it properly. So we're just approaching Redcliffe. Slowly descending. So we adjust the QNH. Yeah, it's made hardly any difference. So the QNH is the barometric pressure. The knob you see on an altimeter is to adjust the QNH. If we look very closely, you can see a millibar and a inches marker there, and then so you can move this knob and you can see it will actually, if you move it a lot, it affects where the needle is. If you press B in Flight Simulator, it automatically figures out the local air pressure and calibrates the altimeter. So that means it will accurately be telling you your altitude above sea level. Okay. Nearly there. If we skip sideways, the airfield's just over here. Obviously it will render it a bit better quality when we're on top of it. It's interesting that there's another patch of buildings that are missing. Really odd. So it would appear Orbex aren't quite as good as they should be. In fact, this airport leaves a lot to be desired, to be honest. It's nowhere near as good as the airfields were down on the Gold Coast. If I was a Sobo, I would shout at Orbex about this one. You can't actually see the sides of the runway, can you? It's a bit of a nightmare. Okay. I guess this plane can go straight across the grass. It's not going to really hurt it, is it? there we go. Flight's a good one. Hopefully you enjoyed the flight, and I will be back online again soon, in the coming days, and we'll go and explore some of the other big Australian cities and some of the other scenic areas. We'll have to go off to visit Ayers Rock, I guess, at some point. There we go, we got a friend parking alongside us. Fantastic. Okay, so that was Brisbane and the Gold Coast. So I'll see you all again soon. Okay, take care.